Have you ever looked at wealthy people and thought, how do they make it look so effortless? You work hard, save what you can, but somehow your money never seems to grow the way theirs does. Now, imagine a different reality, one where wealth isn't just about how much you earn, but about something deeper, something that goes beyond numbers in a bank account. That's exactly how Japanese families approach money, and their method has allowed them to quietly build lasting wealth for generations. The fascinating part? It's not about luck, high salaries, or complicated investment strategies. It's about a mindset, one that anyone, including you, can adopt starting today. 1. Wealth is more than money. Let's start with a simple question. If you lost all your money tomorrow, how long would it take for you to bounce back? Most people would say, I'd be doomed. But in Japan, wealth isn't just about cash or assets. It's about something much more valuable, your invisible assets. What are invisible assets? They're things that no one can steal from you. Your skills, your relationships, your reputation, your knowledge. This is the foundation of wealth in Japan, and it's the reason why some people can lose everything and still rise again, while others struggle no matter how much they earn. I once met a Japanese entrepreneur who lost everything during the 2008 financial crisis. His savings were wiped out, his business collapsed, and yet, within a month, he had 3 job offers and several investors lining up to work with him. Why? Because for years he had built trust and strong relationships, 2 invisible assets far more valuable than money. His wealth wasn't in his bank account. It was in the people who believed in him. Think about your own life. If you lost your job today, how many people would step up to help you? How many opportunities would open up because of the reputation you've built? This is the difference between chasing short-term money and building long-term financial security. While material possessions lose value over time, invisible assets grow stronger. Every new skill you learn, every meaningful relationship you cultivate, and every bit of knowledge you gain is like planting seeds that will bear fruit for the rest of your life. Take a moment to reflect. Are you focusing too much on money and not enough on what actually creates lasting wealth? If so, it's time to start investing in something even more powerful, yourself. 2. The secret weapon that makes saving. Effortless. Ever find yourself at the end of the month wondering, where did all my money go? You're not alone. The modern world makes it easy to spend without thinking. Credit cards, online shopping, automatic payments. Money disappears before we even realize it. But the Japanese have been using a method for over 100 years that completely changes how they save money. And it's so simple that even Japan's biggest banks recommend it. It's called Kakeibo, and it's as easy as using a notebook. That's right. No fancy apps, no complicated spreadsheets, just a notebook where you physically write down every dollar you spend. Studies show that families using Kakeibo save 35% more than those who rely on digital budgeting methods. Why? Because when you physically write something down, you become more mindful of your spending. Think about it. When was the last time you felt anything when you swiped your credit card? Probably never. That's the problem. Modern banking has made money invisible. And when you can't see it, you spend more. Kakeibo brings money back into the real world where you can see it, feel it, and most importantly, control it. Here's how you can try it for yourself. Grab a simple notebook and divide your expenses into 4 categories: needs, wants, things that improve your life, and unexpected expenses. For the next week, write down every single purchase you make. No judgment, just awareness. You'll be shocked by how many unnecessary expenses you discover. I had a friend who did this for just 1 month. She was convinced she had no extra money to save. But after writing down everything, she realized she was spending $150 a month on small or forgettable purchases, coffee runs, impulse buys, random Amazon orders. She made a few small adjustments and started saving $1,800 a year without feeling deprived. The best part: Kakeibo isn't just about tracking money. It's about understanding your relationship with it. The Japanese believe that how you spend your money reflects your values and priorities. When you start seeing your spending patterns on paper, you start seeing your life choices more clearly. And that's when real financial transformation begins. 3. Owning less, having more. Have you ever bought something, convinced it would make you happier only to forget about it a few weeks later? Now imagine doing that for years. That's exactly why so many people feel like they're always running out of money. The Japanese, however, follow a different philosophy: financial minimalism, or as they call it, Danshari. And it's not about being cheap or depriving yourself. It's about making smarter choices about what you own. In America, we're constantly bombarded with messages like "buy now, pay later," "you deserve it," and "treat yourself." The result? Our homes are overflowing with things we don't need, bought with money we don't have, to impress people we don't even like. Meanwhile, Japanese households have 1/3 the number of possessions as the average American home, yet they report higher financial satisfaction. Why? Because they follow a simple rule. If something doesn't add real value to your life, it's just draining your wallet. I learned this lesson the hard way. I used to think I was being smart by buying cheap clothes, constantly replacing them when they wore out. Then, a Japanese friend introduced me to the concept of cost per use. He explained that buying one high-quality shirt for $100 that lasts 5 years is actually cheaper than buying 5 $30 shirts that wear out in a few months. The simple shift in thinking saved me thousands of dollars, and my wardrobe has never looked better. The Japanese approach to minimalism isn't about owning nothing, it's about being intentional. Before they buy anything, they ask 3 simple questions. Will this truly improve my life? Could this money be better invested? Would I still want this in 30 days? If the answer is no to any of these, they skip the purchase and invest the money instead. Want to try this for yourself? Start with a 30-day challenge. For the next month, before buying anything non-essential, wait 30 days. Write it down, revisit it later, and see if you still want it. You'll be amazed at how many must-have items suddenly don't seem so important anymore. This one habit alone could save you thousands of dollars a year, money that could be growing in your investment accounts instead. And, speaking of investments, saving money is only half of the equation. The real secret to building wealth isn't just about spending less. It's about what you do with the money you save. In the next section, I'll reveal how the Japanese take these principles even further, making every dollar they save work twice as hard, without taking big risks or making drastic lifestyle changes. You won't want to miss this one. In Part 1, we uncovered some powerful financial principles that have allowed Japanese families to build lasting wealth, focusing on invisible assets, practicing mindful spending, and embracing financial minimalism. But saving money is only half the story. What truly sets them apart is what they do with the money they save. Most people think that to become wealthy, they need to earn more. But the truth is, what you keep and grow matters far more than how much you make. The Japanese have mastered the art of making every dollar work harder, and they do it in ways that might surprise you. If you've ever felt like no matter how much you earn, you never seem to get ahead, this next section is going to change the way you think about money forever. The Japanese fear of debt. Why borrowing is the fastest way to lose wealth. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to swipe a credit card? It doesn't feel like you're spending real money until the bill arrives. And by then, with sky-high interest rates, you've already paid way more than you should have. In Japan, they see debt completely differently. While Americans often view credit cards as a tool for convenience, Japanese families treat debt like a heavy burden, one that can quietly steal your financial freedom. And they're right. Here's something shocking. The average American household carries around $7,000 in credit card debt, with interest rates over 20%. That means people are paying thousands of dollars just to borrow money for things they probably don't even remember buying. Meanwhile, in Japan, only 18% of transactions are made using credit cards. It's not that they don't have access to credit. They do. They just understand something most Americans don't. The true cost of convenience is your financial future. I'll never forget a conversation I had with a Japanese financial advisor. He told me something that completely changed my perspective. If you need a credit card to buy something, you can't afford it. At first, I thought this was extreme, but then he broke it down for me. A $1,000 purchase at 20% interest, if paid only in minimum payments, can end up costing you over $2,000. Suddenly, that great deal isn't such a great deal anymore. So, what do the Japanese do instead? They prefer to use cash or debit cards for everyday purchases. When you physically hand over money, you feel the transaction in a way you don't with a card. Studies show that people spend 12 to 18% less when using cash instead of credit. That's like giving yourself an instant raise just by changing how you pay. Want to take back control of your spending? Try this. For the next 30 days, switch to using only cash for daily expenses. Withdraw your weekly budget in cash, and every time you make a purchase, you'll see and feel the money leaving your hands. You'll be surprised at how differently you think about spending. No, you don't have to cut up your credit cards, but start using them only for emergencies or planned large purchases you can pay off immediately. And here's the real game changer. What if you could take the power of avoiding debt and multiply it, not just for yourself, but with a group of people working towards the same goal? The power of community. Why Japanese families save together. Have you ever tried to save money on your own only to get discouraged and give up a few months later? You're not alone. Saving in isolation is hard. But in Japan, they've discovered something that makes it easy, the power of community. There's a centuries-old practice called the Tanoshi system, and it's one of the most effective wealth-building strategies you've probably never heard of. Here's how it works. A group of people, often family members, close friends, or co-workers, agree to pool their savings together. Every month, each person contributes a set amount to a shared pot, and each month, one member takes home the entire sum. This continues until every participant has received their full payout. It's simple, yet incredibly powerful. Studies show that people who save money in groups are 75% more likely to reach their financial goals than those who try to do it alone. Why? Because when you commit to others, you hold yourself accountable. I spoke with a Japanese family who used this system to save for their first home. Instead of struggling alone for years, they joined a savings circle with 5 other families. Within 18 months, they had enough for a down payment. And because they were in it together, saving didn't feel like a sacrifice. It felt like a shared achievement. You can try this, too. Find 2 or 3 friends who share similar financial goals and set up a monthly saving target. Even if it's just $50 per month, the group accountability will keep you on track. The key is choosing people who are just as committed as you are to building wealth. But saving money is only part of the equation. The Japanese take this even further by maximizing the value of every dollar they spend, without feeling deprived. 6. Smart frugality. How the Japanese get more from every dollar. Have you ever looked at your bank statement and realized you've spent hundreds of dollars on things you don't even use? Streaming services you forgot to cancel, impulse purchases that seemed like a good idea at the time, food that went to waste? You're not alone. The average American household wastes over $1,500 per year on unused subscriptions, forgotten groceries, and impulse buys. In Japan, they follow a simple but powerful principle called Mottainai, which means don't be wasteful. But this isn't about being cheap. It's about getting the most value out of every dollar. Let me share something that changed my life. I used to buy cheap gadgets, thinking I was saving money. Then I learned from a Japanese mentor about value per dollar. Instead of asking, "How much does this cost?" he taught me to ask, "How much value will this bring?" For example, imagine you spend $4 on coffee every morning. Over a year, that's $1,460, enough to start an investment account. Now, what if instead you bought a high-quality coffee maker for $200 and made your own coffee at home? You'd save over $1,200 in just 1 year. That's the power of spending better, not just spending less. Japanese families apply this thinking to everything. Instead of buying 5 cheap jackets, they buy 1 high-quality jacket that lasts years. Instead of paying for multiple streaming services, they keep only the ones they actually watch. Want to try this in your own life? Start with a value audit. Look at your last month's expenses and ask yourself, did I get real value from this purchase? Could I have gotten the same value for less? Will this purchase still be valuable in a year? You'll be amazed at how many expenses fail this simple test. The money you don't waste can go straight into savings, investments, or even experiences that truly improve your life. But what if you could take this even further by completely transforming the way you manage money? That's exactly what the Japanese do. And in the next section, I'll reveal the simple yet powerful system they use to make money management effortless. This method has helped countless families build substantial wealth, and the best part, it's so easy, you can start using it today. By now, you've seen how Japanese families master the art of money, focusing on invisible assets, saving effortlessly with the Kakeibo method, spending intentionally through Danshari, and avoiding the financial traps of debt and impulse spending. But here's the real game changer, what they do with the money they've saved. Most people think of wealth as something you show off, big houses, luxury cars, designer clothes. But in Japan, True wealth is often hidden in plain sight. They build their fortunes silently, focusing on financial security over flashy displays of success. And it all starts with one simple yet powerful habit: organizing money the right way. 7. The envelope system: how the Japanese stay in complete control of their money. Have you ever reached the end of the month with no idea where your money went? You check your bank balance, and suddenly, it's lower than you expected. It's like money just disappears. That's exactly why Japanese families use a time-tested system that makes managing money effortless, the Shunyu Bukuro method, also known as the envelope system. Unlike budgeting apps that make money feel abstract, this system keeps everything visible and tangible. Each month, they physically divide their income into separate envelopes, each labeled for a specific category: rent, groceries, transportation, savings, entertainment, and so on. The rule is simple. Once an envelope is empty, no more spending in that category. At first, this might sound too simple. But here's the fascinating part. Studies show that people who use this method save 28% more money than those who rely on digital tracking. Why? Because when you can physically see your money diminishing, you automatically become more mindful of your spending. I tried this myself after a Japanese friend convinced me. For years, I had been using a budgeting app, thinking I was in control of my money. But once I switched to the envelope system, I realized I had been overspending by $600 every month on small things I never even noticed. That's $7,200 a year that I was unknowingly throwing away. Here's how you can start. Take your monthly income and divide it into 6 basic envelopes. Housing, 35%, food, 15%, transportation, 15% savings, 20% entertainment, 10%, miscellaneous, 5%. Only use the cash in each envelope for its designated purpose. If an envelope is empty, that's a natural stop sign. No borrowing from another envelope. The first month might be an adjustment, but I promise you, once you see your savings envelope growing and your spending under control, it will feel empowering. But what happens when you've saved money and want to grow it? That's where the Japanese take a completely different approach to investing. 8. The Japanese investing strategy: why they rarely chase big risks. Have you ever wondered why so many people invest in stocks but never actually build wealth? They follow trends, chase hot stocks, jump into crypto, only to lose money when the market turns. Meanwhile, Japanese investors take a slow and steady approach, one that has built some of the most financially stable families in the world. Unlike many Americans who try to time the market, Japanese investors follow a principle called steady stream investing. Instead of chasing quick wins, they focus on consistent long-term investments in proven assets. Think of it like this: gambling versus growing a garden. A gambler hopes for one big win. A gardener plants seeds and patiently nurtures them over time. I once asked a Japanese investment mentor how he decides where to put his money. He told me, "If you can't explain an investment to a 10-year-old, you shouldn't put your money in it." That one sentence changed everything for me. Japanese investors follow 3 simple rules. Invest for decades, not months. They choose safe, long-term investments like index funds and dividend-paying stocks instead of trying to pick winners. Focus on income, not hype. They prefer investments that pay steady, reliable returns, such as dividend stocks and REITs, real estate investment trusts. Never invest money you can't afford to lose. They understand that wealth is built through consistency, not risky bets. Here's a simple example. If you invest just $500 a month into a broad market index fund with an 8% average return, in 25 years that could grow into over $500,000 without ever taking extreme risks. Want to start investing like the Japanese? Follow what they call the sleep test. Only invest in things that don't keep you up at night worrying. But here's the real secret to Japanese wealth building. It's not just about investing wisely. It's about a philosophy that shapes every financial decision they make. 9. Silent wealth. Why Japanese millionaires don't show off. Have you ever seen someone driving a luxury car and assumed they were rich? What if I told you that many of those people are actually drowning in debt? In Japan, true wealth is often invisible. While many Americans go into debt trying to look rich, Japanese families quietly focus on being rich. A recent study found that 80% of American millionaires actually drive ordinary cars and live in modest homes. Sound familiar? That's exactly how the wealthy live in Japan. I once met a Japanese businessman worth millions. You'd never know it by looking at him. He drove a Toyota, wore a simple watch, and lived in a comfortable but modest home. His wealth wasn't in what he owned, it was in what he invested. Here's the key principle behind silent wealth. Every dollar spent on luxury is a dollar that could be growing your fortune. Think about it. Would you rather own a garage full of expensive cars or have a portfolio full of appreciating assets? Would you rather impress strangers today or build financial security for your family's future? The Japanese understand that real wealth doesn't need to be seen to be real. Want to embrace silent wealth? Try this. For the next 30 days, before making any non-essential purchase, ask yourself, am I buying this because I truly need it, or because I want others to see me with it? Could this money be invested instead? This simple habit can change everything. 10. The choice is yours. Which path will you take? Now, you know the 10 powerful Japanese wealth secrets, principles that have allowed them to build financial security quietly and effectively for generations. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue down the same path, spending impulsively, chasing quick wins and struggling with debt? Or will you start making small but powerful changes today, building your invisible assets, saving with purpose, investing wisely, and embracing silent wealth? Remember, wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about how you manage, grow, and protect what you have. And the best part? You can start today. Which of these Japanese secrets resonated with you the most? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're planning to apply these principles in your own life.